Hi there. If you are worried about your boy becoming a problem or more of a problem or more challenging when he's a teen, you are in the right place. I get this worry from parents all the time, and believe you me, I felt it. And you know what? Pretty sure my mom felt it too with me. I want to think with you about how we can change our mindset around the defiance that many of us see when our kids are young so that we can transform that into independence as they grow older. If your son's stubbornness leaves you feeling defeated, which again I can really relate to, we need to think about our mindset because defiance really has a negative connotation, obviously. When we think of our boys as defiant, it's pretty hard to find any empathy for them. But if we can change the way we're thinking about it, we can access that empathy much better, and we can then help him move from a place of defiance to that place of independence. So I want us to think about defiance not as disobedience, but really like a strong will. And I mean, I'm definitely a strong willed person, and I love strong willed people, and I see my kids grow into strong willed people, and I think that's great. I think it's a quality that we oftentimes think is positive as long as we know how to behave appropriately with those around us. It doesn't mean we trample others, but it means that we have a real commitment, for example, on following through on goals, etc. So this quality of strong will is something that definitely comes in handy moving forward in life. So we want to nurture that in our kids. We don't want to go, oh my God, he's being disobedient or disrespectful and stubborn, wants to do things his own way, therefore we're going to write him off or get angry at him or punish him in some way, because that is something that's going to turn around later in life and serve him well. So think about how you might be able to embrace that independence that your sweet boy is showing you, while at the same time definitely holding limits when you need to. I think questions come up for us when we realize, okay, we need to figure out how to find a balance between that need that our sweet boy has for independence and then our role as the leader of our family, or as his guide, if you will. And so one of the things that makes sense for us to do is think about our own emotions, because what I've seen is that our fears often get in the way and they end up magnifying our fears about the problematic aspects of his behavior. And then we project worry, and we are kind of inadvertently teaching him then that there's something to worry about, right? That there's something wrong, or in a worst case scenario, he's interpreting that as something's wrong with him. And then we get into the cycle, right? Fear clouds his judgment, it makes his behavior worse, and then we're back to not being able to trust his journey or his independence because we've seen what happens in the past. So we end up in this cycle, which is hard to break out of, but definitely possible to break out of. So instead of falling into that fear trap, worry for his future, I want to encourage you to find a place where you can trust his journey, where you can engage with him in an empathetic kind of a way, where you can cultivate connection with him. Because really, like, the foundation of a thriving teen, what helps teens do really well is when they feel accepted by us, they feel heard by us, they feel like we understand them, that we're willing to accept them the way they are, who they are, how they are, even when sometimes that's hard for us, even when we might not always like that. If you're thinking, okay, Tasha, that's great, but I'm in the weeds here, I'm drowning, I need help now, he's being defiant, he's exploding, please grab the first 5 words. It's a free handout that I've got for you. It's not like, just 5 words on a handout. I go pretty deeply into how to implement those words so that you can really transform his behaviors. Go ahead and grab those below. Back to what I was talking about, I want you to imagine what life would really look like if you could fully appreciate your kid's fierce independence. I know that that was something that I felt my mom did really well, and it's something that I feel like I was able to pass on to my kids, and it's been great. Like, just to know that I can trust them, and sometimes I have to convince myself to trust them, right? I'm feeling a little bit nervous, but inevitably when I do go to that place, when I decide, okay, I'm gonna trust that this kid is gonna make the best decision for him right now. If things go sideways, he'll figure it out. Inevitably, they go better than when I worry. Really appreciating your sweet boy's independence looks like acknowledging how he's feeling, right? It doesn't mean we need to protect him from his feelings. It means that we need to let him know that it is okay for him to feel upset. We're going to be there with him. There's no shame in it. Sometimes we are going to need to set limits, but let's allow a bit more spaciousness, let's call it. So decide, where do you want to set those loving limits? What limits are important to you? And let go of some of those other ones that aren't, so you're not nagging all the time. You're not trying to control him. And when he senses that you're not trying to control him, but that you're trying to connect, he has space to grow that independence, to discover more about who he is. So be present now as a way to prepare him for the challenges that inevitably are going to lie ahead for him. So how can we ensure that we really remain connected through those turbulent teenage years? Although I don't even like to say turbulent teenage years. I know that's what you fear. It's what we all feared. But what I can tell you after doing this work for all of my kids' life, and at the time of the recording of this video, my boys are 19, 21, and 23, and I've helped thousands of parents, okay? So I don't really like to call it turbulent teenage years because, yeah, there is some turbulence, but it's not extraordinary. It's not by any means how I would describe the teenage years. I found them to be fun. I get to watch my boys and I get to coach parents who are watching their boys turn into these amazing human beings, to do things that they were afraid of when they were younger, to stretch themselves beyond what we ever thought that they could stretch themselves to do, to show up empathetically, to be good friends, to show up for one another as siblings. I mean, to me, the teenage years weren't hard. They were beautiful. And then they've set us up for the 20s and the next phase of parenting, which is, we won't get into that in this video, but yeah, it's yet another stage of parenting. Anyway, all that to say is that if you're prone to worrying about the future, you might inadvertently be sabotaging your parenting, and you don't want to do that. So let's shift our mindset. Let's think about, okay, he's not like Defiant, but he's got a really strong, independent personality. Great. If you need to think about ways to stay present so that you can stay calm and not worry, do that. Find mindfulness practices. Even like, I'm in my room here. If I get worried in my office, I'll think to myself, all right, what are some practices I can do? One thing I like to do is just look around and go, okay, 3 things that are purple. It takes a minute. I have to look around and I go, okay, there's some purple on that painting. There's some purple on the spine of that book over there. And there's some purple on a letter block that I have on my windowsill here in my office. I might look for textures. I might look for shapes. It helps me just ground myself and bring myself back into the present. If you're worried about your kid, you're in the future. If you're in the present, you're not going to be worried. You're going to be focusing on connection and being practical about how to help him through wherever it is he's struggling right now. Now that you have some ideas for how to think about defiance in a more positive way and some strategies that you can use to keep yourself in the present moment so that you can stay positive about your sweet boy, I do want to say that there are some times when you do need to set limits. And so click on the video above or to the side or wherever it is, and I will walk you through more about setting limits so that you can do so in the areas where you feel like it's necessary to do so. Remember, we don't want to be setting limits all over the place. We want to let stuff that doesn't matter go, but we do want to hold limits in those places that are important. So click the video and I will show you how.